from a background of gang members and drug addicts and alcoholics. So I grew up and I thought, well, this is who I am as well. And this is who I need to be. So I went off to prison and, you know, juvenile institutions, and I thought that I had to be like this for so long. You know, I just thought that I had to be like that, and I thought I was gonna die like that. And so when my mom died, I couldn't really cry. I was in prison, but it hurt, you know, it hurt. But because of my circumstances, I didn't allow myself to truly grieve and to really think about what her death meant to me at the time. But later on in life, a lot of things were revealed to me. So I remember the meeting that Adam talks about was a meeting that my mind would tell me that I shouldn't have been attending. I always felt like I didn't fit in. I always felt like I was out of place, even when I was from a gang. Even being in a backyard with gang members, and we're all from the same gang, we're all from the same clique, we're all doing the same things, I always felt that I was out of place. I always felt like I was another. And so, you know, I ended up becoming an addict, an alcoholic, and just kind of, my life just went downhill fast. And I remember right before checking myself into the Salvation Army, I contemplated suicide. And that wasn't the first time I had contemplated suicide. I remember being in Los Angeles County Jail when I was like 22 years old and breaking down razors because I thought, like, I just don't want to live anymore, you know. And here I was again, stuck in my addiction. There was a piece of like something inside of my heart that wanted to live and wanted to be a dad to my kids and a husband to my wife, but there was this overwhelming, like, just negative story that I had been telling myself all this life, that I was unworthy of having all these things. And so I contemplated suicide. And this time I felt like I was gonna do it, you know. I couldn't get sober to save my life. I couldn't get a day. I couldn't stop using. And so I remember going, and even my wife by this time, she would say, like, Jose, you're already high. Like, at least come out of the room, you know, and see your kids and be with us. And I just couldn't because I was so ashamed of myself. And I remember being in that room with no lights on in the dark, and I prayed to God, and I said, like, please, God, like, save me because I can't stop. Like, please help me. And she would drive me out here to the Salvation Army, and they would drug test me. And every time that I would come out here, she would have to drive me back because they wouldn't accept me with the dirty test. And so we did the same thing. We drove out the next day, and she's like, in the car, she's telling me, hey, you're sure you haven't used? And I'm like, I haven't, just get me there. Because there was something inside me that said, man, if I just get into this program, I'm gonna be all right. And we come in and they drug test me. And he says, yeah, you tested clean. And I know that I used, like, I know I used. And I go into this program, and every day for 30 days, I would get on my knees and I would pray and I would cry and I would say, like, no matter what happens, like, please, God, don't let me leave this program. And then 30 days go by, and I was able to go out to outside meetings. And I remember going to that meeting and, like, trying to sit still in my chair, but I couldn't. It was just like something kept preventing me. These thoughts were just, they would just keep coming. And I would force myself to sit there. I would sweat sometimes because my mind would tell me, like, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not shit. Why are you here? You know, you're never gonna be nothing. And like Adam was saying, I remember we were putting away pillows one day, and for some reason he just, like, reached out to me. And at that time I thought that I couldn't share it with anybody. Like, I couldn't connect with anybody because I've always felt like another. And I remember we walked outside, and I had shared, I think, and he had heard a little bit about my story. And we walked outside, and I remember when he told me that his mother had passed away and that he was hurt. And it was like, my heart was just like, damn, I know how you feel, homie. And I just wanted to hug him, and I just wanted to be there for him because I know how it felt when I had lost my mom. And we just connected through our pain. Like pain is the great equalizer. And when I understood, like, he was feeling some pain, like, just my heart inside of my chest just wanted to wrap him up. And we were there for each other. And I remember we would sit in this car in front of the meeting, and we would just pray, and we would cry, and we would pray. And we would sit in front of the Salvation Army, and we would pray, and we would cry. And I was just like, I would tell him like, I'm hurt too, you know? And we were just there and we were together though. And so I'm going through all these things. I'm in the Salvation Army and I'm thinking like, all I've known all my life was to be this. This is all I've known all my life. I got jumped into my neighborhood when I was 12 years old. Shortly after that, my best friend, my cousin, he was like a brother to me, he was murdered. He was 14 years old. I thought that I was gonna die like this, you know, and when I remember going to the Salvation Army, I started to think like, what is there for me? Like, who am I? If I'm not this, then who truly am I? And little by little, it's a journey and it's a process. I started to find out like who I was. I remember one day I was working in the kitchen and I don't even remember what song came on, but I remember a song came on and it was like a romantic song or a love song, an R&B song, and it made me cry. And I hadn't cried like in so long, you know, and I was crying. And one of the counselors that was in there, I called him on the payphone and I was like, I think I'm losing my manhood. And he was like, what do you mean? And I go, and I'm crying, homie. And I don't even know why I'm crying. And it's crazy because I had prevented myself from all these things for so long that when this stuff started to happen to me, I didn't know what it was and I didn't know what it meant. And I remember Adam would always tell me, like, you gotta meet Russell. Like, you gotta meet Russell. You and Russell, like, there's so many similarities he would see in us. And I would tell him, nah, homie, like, I don't want to meet anybody else. I just need you. You know, I was like, let's just me and you. You know, like, I don't want any. I remember he would tell me for days, like, come to Russell's. I was like, nah, like, I don't want anybody else in my life. Because I was so afraid. I was scared. I was scared of what was happening to me. And I was afraid of, you know, what was to be of my life. And I thought, like, as long as I had Adam, I was cool, you know, and then one night he convinced me to come. And I remember walking in here and the same thoughts, like, oh man, how are they gonna receive you? Look at you, you're all tatted up. You know, what are they gonna think about you? Maybe you're not welcome here. All these lies, you know? And then I remember coming in and immediately the things that Russell was saying, and I didn't say nothing in that moment, but everything that he was saying was what I was feeling and what I was thinking. He was talking about the voice. He was talking about thoughts. He was talking about the lies. And I was like, damn. Like, it all made sense to me. And I had a sponsor at that time, and I had a little, I was in recovery, I was in treatment, but I didn't know that what I was gonna get here was gonna lead me to spirituality. And that's what I think about. Like, we talk about the big book, we talk about NA, and that's great and all. Like, in the beginning, it's good, and the steps and everything, but like Russell was just saying right now in the living room, like, this is a spiritual journey. And now that I start to look back and go like, oh, I learned this here about myself and about God. And it just continued to like open these compartments for me. And then I think about the story, like the deceit, the lies that I was telling myself, and then that song that was playing right now, you are holy and there is no one like you. I begin to hear God saying that to me. Like, I hear these songs and I hear God looking at me going, you are holy, there is nobody like you. When before I was listening to my own voice going, you ain't nothing and you're worth nothing and you're not going to be nothing. And it was like these brief moments where these experiences that I was having where God was saying, no, like, you're not that. You are holy and there is no one like you. And when I was able to understand the truth about my life, immediately, it was nothing that, there was no behavior modification that I needed. It was like, oh no, I'm holy and there's no one like me. I'm created in your image, God. You are loved, I am loved. I started to inhabit the truth about my life, and that's when things really began to change for me. That's when, yeah, it wasn't perfect, the journey wasn't perfect, but I wouldn't change anything about it. I wouldn't change all these things that I had been through and the lessons that I had learned, because they got me to see the truth about my life. I have just came back from this, it's called the Four Corner Festival, and it's in Belfast, and it's this peace festival, and it's about, so they have the Protestants, they have the Catholics over there that have been at war with each other for many, many years. And they even have a wall that divides both sides. And every night at 10 p.m. the gates close and you have to choose what side you're going to be on for the night. And at 6 a.m. they open in the morning. This war, they think, is like, it's rooted and grounded in something, in a conflict that's even before people's times that are living there now. But we're walking to this this Four Corner Festival, and it's myself and it's 2 other former gang members. And one of the homies he's talking about this festival. He's like, yeah, there's gonna be people there from all over the world, and everybody's gonna be coming together so that we can create peace in the world. And the homie that's with us, he got life in prison at 17 years old. He ended up becoming Sally's with his father in prison, who was already a lifer. His dad paroled, was out for 1 day, he dies. He paroled 17 years later, came to Homeboys, found healing, found God, and was able to see the truth about his life. And so we're walking through Belfast, and the homie goes, yeah, there's gonna be all these people from all over the world. And they're all coming here to hear former gang members talk about peace. And the homie looks at me and goes, there's gonna be gang members here? And he goes, yeah, we're the gang members, homie. And because he doesn't see himself as a gang member, it was like a little boy going, oh, there's gonna be gang members? We're gonna meet gang members here? And it's like, no, you're the gang member I'm talking about. But he's like, he couldn't see himself no longer in that light, because that's not the story that he's telling to himself.
Good.
And he was able to shift that. And I think, like, for myself, that's been, like, lately, I've been able to say, like, I get to say who I am in this world. You know, God's given me the power of a voice to say, like, no, I'm not a gang member. I'm Jose. I'm not what I thought I was. I'm a father. And being able to be a father and understand that love that I have for my children, that's just a small little tiny glimpse of God's love for us. Like, I know how I feel about my kids. I look at my kids, and like, that song makes perfect sense. Like, you are holy, and I can say it to each one of them. You are holy, just sound, there is no one like you. You are holy, Jasmine, and there is no one like you. You are holy, Jose, and there is no one like you. You are holy, Vincent, and there is no one like you. And my little baby Josiah, the youngest one, he's so holy, and there is no one like him. Just to understand, like, a little piece of God's love for us has inspired me in all my endeavors. I always try my best to return to that. And I'm not perfect, but I try to return to the truth as fast as I can. It's because once I've had a taste of it, like, I know that it's true, and I know that it's pure, and I know that there's, like, nothing can stand against the truth, not even my own voice. Not even me telling myself, like, no, you're unworthy. When I know that I was created in the image of God and that I'm worthy. But that wasn't always the case, you know, and it took these experiences. And I think about certain experiences, you know, like meeting Adam and us praying together, having a man say, like, I'm hurt, homie. And I was hurt when my mother passed away. And being a man and being able to say, like, damn, I was hurt. And I'm still hurt. I'm wounded, homie. And for him to sit there and hug me or hold my hand and say, well, let's pray together. Those experiences begin to reshape the way that I viewed myself, and ultimately the way that I viewed the world. I believe that the way that I view myself determines the way that I view the world, and the way that I move in the world, and who I am in this world. And so today, I see myself as first and foremost a father, and a father that loves his children. So in every relationship that I have, I'm a father first. And me being a father first, I'm able to be a friend, I'm able to be a brother, I'm able to be a sponsor if need be, I'm able to be all these different things because I was able to inhabit the role of a father. But if I go back, right, how was I able to inhabit the role of a father? I first had to be a son. So I went back and I looked at my life, right? And in the rooms we call this doing our inventory and our resentments and all these things. And I looked like, okay, what was it? Where did this story come from? For me, it was that my mother was a drug addict and I didn't know my father. There was people in my life that had love for me and that tried to do their best to show me that they loved me. But ultimately, I ended up believing the lie. That I wasn't able to be a son, that I was unworthy of being a son. because of these experiences I had with my mother. And because I wasn't worthy of being a son, I couldn't be anything else. I couldn't be a friend, I couldn't be a brother, I couldn't be a father, because I had never been a son first. When I started to experience God's love and really like be still and be in God's love and God's presence, I understood, no, I am a son. I'm a child of the Most High God. And when I was able to experience God's love and fully inhabit God's love, I was able to be a son. And when I was able to be a son and know that I was worthy to be God's son, I was able to be everything else in life. I was able to be a husband to my wife because I had to be a son first. I had to know that I was worthy to be God's son. Then I was able to be a husband to my wife. And I was able to be a father to my children. I was able to be a brother to my brothers and sisters. And I was able to be a friend to my friends. And I say all that because I feel like these stories, they try to seep in, you know, whether it be things we see on TV or things that we've experienced in bad relationships or things we've experienced in just in society in general. And these stories will try to seep in and take root. But God's constantly showering us with the truth. Like, you are loved, you are worthy. And in settings like this, I feel God's presence. I feel God's love. As soon as I came in here, I felt home. Like, I felt like, I know this is exactly where I need to be. I know that I'm safe. I know that I'm loved. I know I don't have to worry about anybody hurting me intentionally. I know that I'm okay here. And that's God's love. And I feel like what happens is, us as believers, we inhabit that sanctuary. We inhabit it, the sanctuary of God. We inhabit the truth of who we are. And then we become that truth, and then we become that sanctuary for others. And we create spaces like this that we're able to help people to see the truth, because we're not telling anybody how to live, but we're telling people the truth about their life, that each and every one of us is worthy. And each and every one of us is holy, and there is no one like us. God created us in His image, and I'm just blessed. I feel beyond everything that I'm just blessed to be able to share that, what had happened in the past, and some of these experiences that begin to reshape the way I saw myself, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to be here, and thankful, and I'm just very humbled. You know, very humbled. On February 16th, I got 4 years. You know, I'm sober for 4 years. And beyond that, like Russ was saying in the kitchen, it's not this thing that I thought it was. It's deeper. It's bigger. It's tangible. It's spirit. It's the presence of God. It's like, I don't look at things that were bad or good. I try my best not to. I fail at it sometimes, but I try to go, oh, that was an experience, you know, and God was there. And this is a new experience, and God is here. And I just try my best to remain in that place. And it's not easy because, you know, Russ calls it the hater in our head. He calls it that voice that you'll be walking by a mirror and you'll look at yourself and go, damn, you're gaining some weight. Where does that come from? You know, but we gotta just continue to return back to the truth. And the truth is that each and every one of us is worthy to receive love and to also give love. So I just thank you guys for allowing me to share a little bit with you tonight and to be here.